Hey guys, this is Jaden Storm coming at you with another random rant segment. If you watched the previous segment, it was about Pokemon. So if you're a Pokemon fan and you want to hear what I have to think about the upcoming Pokemon series and Pokemon franchise as a whole, go check that out. It's segment number 3. And for this one, I'm going to be talking about another gaming company that I really like and I'm a huge fan of. It's probably, in my top 3 as far as gaming companies, and that is Square Enix. Now, if you're as big a gamer as me, then you should be in your head going, okay, then more than likely he's either going to rant about Kingdom Hearts, or he's going to rant about Final Fantasy. And the answer to your question is I'm going to rant about both of them. And the first one I'm going to rant about is Kingdom Hearts. You'll notice that I'm holding up the 2 that originally came out on PlayStation in the early 2000s. Well, this one came out, I believe, in the year 2000. I mean, I was in elementary, guys. And then this came out like 4 years later it was, or something like that. I have no idea. Real quickly, I can't find the date on it. I should have looked that up, but oh well. First off, Kingdom Hearts. Okay. Quick side note, I am not making references to any of the Game Boy games. I have tried them all, and they all suck. Okay? I think that hurt their franchise a little bit, because I've talked to a lot of people that were big fans of the franchise based off these 2 games. Come on, guys. It is a Final Fantasy game pretty much inside Disney. That's all it is. Instead of dealing with, big dragons and demons, you're dealing with the characters that you grew up with in Disney movies. You're dealing with Mufasa. You're dealing with, Maleficent. You're dealing with Pete from Mickey and Ursula the Sea Witch and, just a few others here that I see on the back. You get to see Jack Skellington and Hades and the Cerberus from Hercules. I mean, you get to see quite a lot of stuff. And, and let's face it, Square Enix, they know how to make a good game. Originally when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, as you'll see here, it was called Squaresoft. Nowadays, it's referred to as Square Enix. But you want to know what the fun thing is if you've ever played either one of these games, you'll know that, guess what? The Final Fantasy characters we love show up in these 2 games. Now, I have been waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out for, let's see, it's 2013... I think almost a decade, because, these 2 games were extremely popular. Guys, I remember that this was up for Game of the Year, I believe. I mean, it was huge. I mean, for its time, this was one of the best games ever made. Now, keep in mind, when this game came out in 2000, the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox were out. Now, I don't know much about Xbox except for around that time, if they did not have Halo, we would not even be talking about Xbox today. There wouldn't be such a thing as Halo Reach, okay? There wouldn't be such a thing as the Xbox 720 coming out in October. Or holiday season, whatever the fuck. It wouldn't be around without Halo, okay? So let's just clarify that up, cut and dry. Now, Kingdom Hearts, on the other hand, when this came out in 2000, just ask yourself, did you try this game? Because I know I did, and I loved it, because it was fun. It wasn't really that hard of a game, but it wasn't also one of those games that had no replayability, that you just couldn't bring yourself to play again. And then, we got Kingdom Hearts 2. And Kingdom Hearts 2, in my opinion, the game kind of was actually pretty long. But overall, both of these games, for me, if I was going to rate them, I'm not a professional game rater, I wish I was, but I would give both of them 5 stars. I could nitpick a little bit here and there, but you know what? Overall, the games were a lot of fun. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3, supposedly, I have read so many... The last day and a half, guys, I have done nothing but literally scourge the internet for, is Kingdom Hearts 3 real? Is it just a rumor? Is it just BS? I mean, what? And most of the reports that I've seen is that it plans to come out on the new PlayStation 4, which will be released holiday 2013. And first of all, what the fuck does holiday 2013 mean? Thanksgiving, Christmas, Grandparent Day, what? Be specific, Sony. I mean, is it going to come out on Thanksgiving? Is it going to come on Christmas? Is it going to come out on Hanukkah? What? So, look for Kingdom Hearts 3. This is probably my most awaited game that I've been waiting for ages. I'm tired of waiting on it. So, Sony, Square Enix, get your shit together. Get this game out on the market, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's sick and tired of waiting. And do me a favor, don't put out another 3 or 4 Game Boy DS games that suck before you get around to it, okay? Now, enough about that. Let's talk about Final Fantasy. Guys, I was first introduced to Final Fantasy by, I think, Final Fantasy VII. And to this day, Final Fantasy VII is still my favorite game I've ever played. And it actually, according to a lot of things I've read, has been voted as one of the most popular games of its time, and may be the most popular. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole plot of Final Fantasy VII. If you want to do that, go read a blog or the Wikia. But I played Final Fantasy when I was like 10 years old. Now, that's very young, and Final Fantasy VII is a very complicated game for someone who's 10 years old. But luckily, I was able to figure it out. It took me a year and a half to beat the damn game, but I finally beat it. And when I did beat it, I started to go, because, I was 10, so I was smart enough to go, well, if this is Final Fantasy VII, what happened to the first 6? And I was able to go back, and I was lucky enough to have all the consoles, and I played all the previous 6, and I am proud to say that I've played and beaten every single Final Fantasy game that has been in existence. And I'm talking about every Final Fantasy game that's been released on the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, and the previous consoles that came before it, and the PlayStation Portable. So, and I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan, guys. There's Final Fantasy VII, and then there's just Final Fantasy as a whole. Because I think Final Fantasy VII is literally the best series of characters that they've ever made. The Cloud versus Sephiroth battles will always be the best, in my opinion. But, if I was going to talk about, here's the main part of the Final Fantasy half of this rant. Now, usually every year around February, I don't know why they wait till February, what's so fucking special about the most useless holiday in American history, Valentine's Day, to release a game around that time, and the next Final Fantasy game is another part to 13, and it's called Lightning Returns. Now, I'll admit, guys, Final Fantasy 13 got a second part. Now, the second part sucked. Guys, I had to force myself to finish that. And by that, I mean I had to literally set aside an hour a day and just say, look, I am going to finish this game. From 10:30 to 11:30 tonight, I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to beat it. Just because I was not going to let my streak be broke. Now, there was another Final Fantasy that got a 2-parter. And my second favorite Final Fantasy, it's probably my second, is Final Fantasy X. And it got a second part, Final Fantasy X-2. Now, Final Fantasy X was amazing. I think it was up for Game of the Year. It was an amazing, amazing game with amazing graphics. And then you had Final Fantasy X-2. It was only good if you are a strict gaming picky person like me and got 100%, because you'll know what I mean. Unless you get 100% in Final Fantasy X-2, you can't see the ultimate or happy ending to the games, it's called. You must get 100%, and I have played this game through it 5 times, and I've only been able to get 100% once. It's hard. I mean, it is totally nitpicky. I have been stuck on 99.7% a lot of the time. You miss one treasure box, and it's one you can't get to anymore. Guess what, Jack? You just don't get to see the happy ending. You gotta play the whole game over again. And this game's not short. I mean, there's 5 chapters in the game. Each chapter you know, depending on how much time you set aside in your daily life to play video games, it's going to take you a fair share amount, and also you have to set aside time to literally just run around in the fields and get your characters up levels. The only positive thing is in Final Fantasy, the original first one, there is a grand total of 7 characters, I believe. In this one, you only have to deal with 3. The only problem is with, well, I'm not going to get into all that. If you want a more in-depth analysis of these two games, put in the description below, and I will get into more of an in-depth analysis of both of these two games. But overall, Final Fantasy X was probably my second favorite Final Fantasy game of all time. However, this one was somewhat less than to be desired. Now, my favorite stretch of Final Fantasy games starts at 7 and ends with 10. I loved Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 8 was a lot of fun. Final Fantasy 9 was amazing. I wish it got a second part. And Final Fantasy 10 knocked it out of the fucking park. Guys, I am not an emotional guy. I have seen Old Yeller, I've seen Where the Red Fern Grows, and I've seen Marley and Me, all 3 of those movies, at least 3-4 times a piece, and I've never cried. The ending to this game honestly made me cry 1 tear, because it is kind of sad if you've played it. So, make fun if you want, but this is actually a beautiful story. In high school, we had to write a paper off a continuance of a story that we read that wished it continued, and that was, I excluded this because I explained to my teacher I thought they did terrible, and she said, you know what, Jaden, continue your story, I want to hear it. And I did this. My teacher was like in her 60s, never even heard of Final Fantasy, and she thought the story was amazing. So guys, this is an amazing story. So if you have a PlayStation 2, you're looking for a game to play, and you're looking for a good game that's actually, I mean, there's some challenge to it. If you're looking for a good challenge game to play, and not one you're going to beat in a week, unless you like dedicate your whole week to beating it, play Final Fantasy X. It has my personal recommendation of one of the best games ever played. It is going to get a PlayStation 3 remake eventually in HD. Square Enix has confirmed that, along with Final Fantasy VII, which I about had a frickin' orgasm when I heard that they're going to remake Final Fantasy VII into an HD version. I cannot wait to see that. So if you're looking for a good game to play Final Fantasy X. My point is the remake is the third piece of the Final Fantasy XIII Lightning series is not necessary, because they had a great story with just one. You know what? It ended where they could make another one if they could at the end of the first Final Fantasy XIII, which introduced Lightning and all those characters along with Snow and all them. But you know what? Sometimes it's best just to leave the player wondering, wow, what happened next? And let them have their idea of what happened next. Sometimes it's not good to continue that story. My point was, if you wanted another story to build off to get a third part, you should have picked this one, because you hit the equivalent of, 3 Grand Slams in a row, and then you striked out royally. You had this was the equivalent of having Miguel Cabrera, who's the best hitter at the plate in baseball currently, and having a 3-year-old pitch in the ball, and he strike out on the first 3 swings. That's how bad this game was compared to this. Now, it is still a good game if you're willing to sit down and play it, but if you compare these two, this is not even in this ballpark. So if they wanted a series to give a third piece to, they should have done Final Fantasy X. They shouldn't have picked Final Fantasy XIII. So, that's just my opinion. So, do with it what you will. Now, in the comment section below, I want you to do 2 things, if you will. If you will take literally 60 seconds out of your day to type something down there. I want you to tell me first, what do you think of the Kingdom Hearts franchise? Are you happy that there is supposedly a Kingdom Hearts 3 in production for the next generation of PlayStation? If so, tell me if you're going to buy it. Tell me what you like about the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Tell me what you hope happens. There are a couple of articles talking about the new characters they're going to release. If you want me to do a further analysis on both the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy franchises, give me 5 thumbs up on this video, and I will do one video for each of them, and I will do a further analysis. So in the comment section below, tell me what you like about both franchises, please. And if I get 5 thumbs ups, I will do one video per each for each of them, kind of talking a little more in depth about the franchises and the games overall. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. Thumbs up the video, and I'll see you later.